afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another episode of WCU Athletics Chalk Talk. I am your host, Jim Zulke. I am the Sports Information Director at Westchester University, and I am joined today by Kelly Moyer, the cheerleading coach and the Spirit Squad coordinator for Westchester University, as well as one of her cheerleaders, Liz Slosher. Ladies, how you doing today?
Good. How are you, Jim?
I am just peachy. And Liz, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Okay. WCU Athletics Chalk Talk is brought to you by Citadel. And now, Coach Moyer, I think we'll start with you. Kind of bring the people up to speed on, how you've sort of kept in touch with your girls over the pandemic, and kind of what you've been doing to try to keep these girls in shape and keep them, on top of things as far as the cheerleading aspect of their day goes.
Sure. So we have kept up with weekly meetings. So every Sunday night at 9 o'clock, we have meetings where we meet on Zoom, do some updates, just kind of bring everybody up to speed on things that have been going on over the past week, touch base with everybody. We kind of change it up. Some weeks we do a bonding activity where we just kind of do little games that we can break into small groups or things like that, do little challenges that we can do through Zoom. We do have bigs and littles, which is nice. So that's something that we have going on our team. And so we have that structure in place. So we definitely challenge our upperclassmen to support our underclassmen a lot through that. But we have our weekly meetings, and then our captains meet every week as well for about 2 hours to plan things for our team and to make sure that everybody's being taken care of well. They have their workouts that they've been doing through Zoom. We've kind of structured that a little bit differently as we've gone since March. Things have changed, obviously, so we've kind of changed the structure a couple different times. But just trying to keep checking in on everybody. It's obviously a really challenging time, so just trying to make sure everybody's doing well. And I think just having our weekly meetings and touching base with everybody is something to keep the group going. And everybody's looking for something to be a part of, and it's just it's been nice to meet and at least see everybody through Zoom. But it's definitely been interesting because we have a lot of new team members that we've never met in person, and we've been going at this for about 8 months now and have never been able to meet them in person.
So Liz, from an athlete standpoint, how do you try to keep those freshmen kind of engaged? How do you tell them, look, every year isn't like this?
Yeah, it's been hard. And I look back to my freshman year, and their freshman year experience is definitely going to be so much different than mine. But we've just, we keep trying to tell them to stay with us. We keep pulling them into our workouts and into those Zoom meetings. And we keep asking them to just come back to stuff and hang in there with us.
And now, I guess I should ask this: what are you majoring in at Westchester?
I'm a psychology major.
Okay. And are there other psychology majors on the team, and are you able to at least have some of that camaraderie and help your other cheerleaders through this kind of difficult Zoom experience, if you will?
I think we have a couple nursing, a couple education, but we don't have many psychology majors on the team.
So are they leaning on you to get through this hard time then?
I think we all definitely lean on each other for support. We've definitely all talked to each other about the difficulty of getting through our classes during this time. It's not an easy task, Zoom University, as they're calling it. So it's been tricky. Our freshmen navigating that is definitely hard. And I'll try and give advice to the freshmen academically, but then at the same time, we're all learning something totally new. So I can't even really give them advice about how to be an online class because I barely know that too.
Yeah. And so I appreciate you being here, Liz. I know you're probably zoomed out, as they usually say, with all of these classes. But yeah. I really do appreciate you taking a few minutes of your day to talk with myself and Coach Moyer.
Of course, it's early. I don't have the Zoom glaze yet, is what they call it.
And Coach, kind of talk about some of the things maybe off the scene, behind the scenes that the cheerleading squad does. I know people see you guys at football games and at basketball games, but what are some of those activities, and how have you tried to keep up with them during this Zoom time?
Yeah, it's really interesting, Jim, because majority of our time, honestly, is spent not on the track or not on the basketball court, even though that's where most people see us. But we are so involved in the university, and I think that is a huge part of what our team is honestly missing, is just being a part of our campus community. We are so involved. We are feel so lucky and blessed that we get invited to do so many experiences on our campus. Usually we're starting off our season with our Ram Rally, where we're getting everybody rallied up for the semester and the year that's ahead, and getting everybody in that Ram spirit. And we have our President's Welcome Back, so usually we're at that, and we're welcoming the guests and people who come to hear what is in store for the year. We have so many events that we do, from Accepted Students Days. We do the Chili Cook-Off. We work at the Chili Cook-Off for the Hickman Center. And so, our team is just really involved in the Westchester community and just on our campus. We do the Christmas parade that they put on every year, so they're typically doing that. And I know when we got that cancellation, our team was really disappointed about that, because that's a highlight every year. We do a lot of community service as well. So we usually go to Owen J. Roberts High School every year. They have a trick-or-treat event, and our team is the entertainment for everybody while they're coming through the lines. We're usually there for about 3 hours performing, meeting a lot of the children as they come through, which is canceled also this year. We have a lot of TV appearances, things that we do, when guests come to. I know we've done a couple different things over the last few years. So those are all things that we've done in the past, plus a lot more. But we've been trying to stay involved as much as we can. We're really thankful that we've gotten asked to do a lot of things last week, or a few weeks ago. We were involved with the Ram Fam weekend, so it was the virtual family weekend. We were involved with that, so that was really nice. We did what they called a Learn a Cheer program, and we had some of our team members who were socially distanced who put on a virtual, almost like a little cheer camp kind of thing, I would say. And we're hearing that it was the most viewed event from the entire weekend, so we feel pretty good about that. And we've been happy that we've been able to stay connected to the community that way.
And now, Liz, one thing that Coach had touched on, you're not on the sidelines for the football games. How much does the cheerleading team miss football season and being able to get out there and cheer for the crowd and kind of just take in that whole atmosphere?
Yeah, more than I can put into words. We say, a lot of us talk about the purple track, and that down in Farrell Stadium, the track is purple, and there's nothing like being on that purple track, and the football game's behind you and the fans are above you, and just there's nothing like it, and we miss it more than anything, just being there with all your teammates. And if you ever watch the cheerleaders, we don't stop cheering the whole time. We don't stop moving. We stand there and we spear it and we wave our arms. And the one break from cheering that we get is to do a flip or to do a stunt, or to do a pyramid. So we literally don't stop moving the whole time, which can be really exhausting. But at the same time, it is so fun to just have to put all of your energy into being so happy and so excited to be there. So there's really nothing like it. And to the realization that I might never get to do that again is really, really heartbreaking.
Is that something you've talked with your other teammates about? At least the upperclassmen, some of the underclassmen, they'll have another football season. But, it's interesting that you touch on that because, a lot of people say, oh, the football players, the seniors are going to miss it. But I'm sure there are band members that are going to miss it and the cheerleaders that are going to miss it. And, that's some of the things that I think people don't think about. Is that something you've talked with your teammates about and tried to kind of be there for each other?
Yeah, absolutely. We had a team call following the president's announcement that academic activity would be canceled. And we all kind of, I, for one, was in tears, and a couple of my teammates were too. And it was actually really interesting. We had one freshman who had said, well, if anybody knows what situation you're in right now, it's the freshmen, because they had their senior seasons canceled. So our freshmen have been really trying to support the seniors, which has been really, really nice to see, because usually it's the seniors supporting the freshmen, but I think the freshmen have really been trying to support the seniors right now. But yeah, the seniors have all been talking about and trying to support each other through this. But at the same time, we're all just so upset. And it's really hard to process, because we spent, our whole lives, or I spent my whole life looking forward to being a Westchester cheerleader, and looking forward to this senior year. And in cheerleading, there's only so many spots. Like, there's only 3 pyramids that go on. And in those pyramids, there's one girl on the bottom, one girl in the middle, one girl on the top. So that's only maybe 9 really, I would call them good spots. And then there's a lot of other girls that are super duper important. They hold a foot, they cheer in the front, and all of those parts are really, really important. But some of my favorite spots are being right under the pyramid, or something like that. And you look forward to being in those spots your senior year forever. And then, now, I look forward to it for 4 years, and now senior year is not going to happen.
Now, you do have a connection to the Westchester football team that goes pretty far back.
Yes.
Your grandfather, the late Dick Yoder, was an athletic director here. I hired him on to be a color analyst on football radio shows. I got to know your grandfather pretty well. A tremendous man, and I'm sure you know that. But when you were a little girl, did you plan on going to Westchester, and did you plan on cheering and being a part of the whole football experience?
Yeah, so anybody that's on the team or has been around me has heard this story a million times. But when I was growing up, my family would drag me to the Westchester football games, and I wanted nothing to do with football or baseball or basketball or any of it. I was such a girly girl, and I would just eyes on the cheerleaders the whole time. It's all I wanted to watch. I would not watch a single minute of the football game. I would just watch the cheerleaders, and I had this Westchester cheerleader uniform, like a kid's uniform, that I wore for way too long. It didn't fit me anymore, but I still wore it. And I used to wear my hair in pigtails, and there was these pom-poms with a stick that they used to give out for free. And I would shove the sticks into my ponytails, my pigtails, and wear them out with the pom-poms as my pigtails. But yeah, forever I wanted to be a Westchester cheerleader. And I've always attributed Westchester cheer to why I'm a cheerleader at all, because I would go and I would watch those cheerleaders, and I don't think I would have pushed my parents to let me get into cheerleading from a young age if I hadn't watched those cheerleaders on that purple track. So yeah, having my grandfather have that connection to Westchester and growing up around Westchester definitely created me as who I am as a person today, because if I didn't get into cheerleading, I would definitely be a different person. And yeah, I was always going to Westchester. There was never really an option. My older brother went to Westchester. My parents went to Westchester. So I was always coming here, and I was always really hoping to cheer here.
So not to put you on the spot or anything, but is there a football memory or a memory of your grandfather and Westchester University that you tend to hold on to and think about?
Well, Kelly brought up the Christmas parades, and I know that's not totally Westchester University specific, but kind of Westchester as the town. And growing up, when my pop-up was the mayor, we were in the Westchester Christmas parade, and I don't know if they still do it, but it was old-fashioned cars that we would ride in.
Oh yeah, they got those still.
Yeah, so we would ride in the old-fashioned cars with my pop-up, and we would wave at all the people. And now, when as a Westchester cheerleader, getting to walk in that parade and wave at all the people is really cool. And since my pop-up has passed, it was a nice way to kind of remember that memory, and also kind of relive some of that. So the Westchester Christmas parade is definitely one of my favorite connections to Westchester and my pop-up and cheer and all of that. So when that was canceled, that was a big bummer too.
So I should also probably tell our viewers, your pop was also the mayor of Westchester. Now, a lot of people probably thought he was the mayor of Westchester long before he actually ran for office, because he kind of defined the borough as it was. Is it kind of surreal when your grandfather is the mayor of the borough? I mean, I've never had that experience. I've never had someone related to me be the mayor of the town.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And coming to Westchester, it's kind of crazy because there's so many people that know him. And people will recognize me just because I look so much like my mom. And people will literally be like, oh, you're a Yoder. And they'll be like, I know your grandfather. And will tell me all these really cool stories. And my grandfather passed away kind of suddenly my junior year of high school. And coming to Westchester, I've gotten to learn so many wonderful things about him and who he was and what he did here at Westchester just from all of the people here. So that's really awesome.
So now, Kelly, kind of switching gears a little bit, a couple days away is homecoming. I know there's no football game, but have the cheerleaders been involved in some of those homecoming things?
Yeah, it's been interesting, obviously shifting gears and having homecoming be a virtual event, but the cheerleaders will be involved. There'll be a virtual parade, so certainly an interesting concept, but the cheerleaders will be involved with that. We are also, since our Learn a Cheer program was so popular for Ran Fam Weekend, we're bringing it back for homecoming and offering that again. So they'll be putting on their clinic, which will be posted. It's a YouTube link that will be shared, so that'll be available for people. So yeah, we're going to be involved in that way, which is kind of nice. Well, there'll be Spirit Week all week, so I know that a lot of them will be participating in that as well.
So now you know this, Kelly. I know Liz doesn't, but I have a 5-year-old daughter who is really looking forward to Learn to Cheer, I think. She has, like Liz had mentioned, she has a cheerleading outfit. I don't think it fits anymore. She still tries to get into it, though.
I know that feeling because my daughters actually, my 2 daughters, we got the hand-me-down uniform from Coach Blair and his wife, passed their cheerleading uniforms on to my girls, and so now Lila's pretty much through those, and I know my daughter Grace will be getting into those at some point. So these cheerleading uniforms just keep living on.
I think she's looking forward to the Reading with Rami. Is that going to be a live event, or is that something that you just tune in and kind of watch? I know I'm on the homecoming committee. I should probably know this, but just for our viewers out there.
Yeah, so for Family Weekend, it was an event that there was just a link that you could watch. But actually for homecoming, it's going to be an interactive event. So there'll be a registration and the link will be sent out to people so they can actually join in. And then there will be, it hasn't been put up yet because we're waiting to get all the recordings together, but on the RAMI website, there'll actually be a Reading with Rami tab that will have all of the links to all the different stories that the hosts of the different episodes will have on. So by the end of homecoming, we should have about 8 episodes with different stories that'll be recorded that'll be posted there.
Wow. That is a lot going on, especially in a couple of weeks there for homecoming.
Yeah.
So now, Coach, when you took over, I think there was maybe 16 cheerleaders on the squad. You've certainly expanded that roster. You've now invited men to come and try out, and you have a few men on the roster. Kind of talk about the evolution of that roster and the evolution of the program since you've taken over, and kind of where you see it going.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I could talk for hours about this because it's something that I am so passionate about. And when I inherited the team, there were actually 13 people on the team. I didn't even have a tryout. The team was already selected when I took over, and this is my 17th year. And to look at the development of the program, it's just something that I'm really proud of. Our program's come a long, long, long way. We were all girl, and I don't think we were all girl because we weren't open to having males on the team. We were just all girl because we only had girls trying out for the team. My understanding is that just before I took over, we had 4 guys who cheered all 4 years together. And then for some reason, we just didn't have any guys try out. And then it was about 2 years ago or 3 years ago that we had some males express some interest in trying out. It might have been 4 years ago, actually, but we had some males express interest in trying out. And we said, sure, we're only all girl because we only have girls. And so we've definitely, one thing that has been interesting is because of the development when we've competed at nationals for the first time 2 years ago, we competed in the open co-ed division. And With being co-ed, you can have up to, I think, 12 males on the team, and we had two, or we had one. And so it made it a really interesting experience, but we were still really competitive. But as far as the roster, our team has grown a lot. We did go from 13 initially to 16, and then we went from 16 to 20. And this year when we took our roster, we took 32 on the roster, knowing full well that probably not every single person would stay on the team, just given the circumstances. And we did lose 2 along the way. So we have a roster of 30 right now. But it's really nice. And the reason we've been able to do that is because of a lot of support, truly, from not only at the athletic department specifically, but from student affairs. And a lot of that is because we do so much on campus outside of just athletics, because we're asked to do so many different events on campus and support the university as spirit ambassadors. We've been able to expand our team so that we can do things. There were a lot of times over the last 2 years where majority of our team was away to a football game, but the rest of the team who was back was at events that were going on campus that otherwise we wouldn't have been able to do. So it's really nice that allowing us to be a lot more involved in the community by having more team members.
And so, Liz, kind of talk a little bit about what Coach has said, where some men are on the roster. What's that meant for the team, and how have they kind of added their unique spin to the cheerleading squad?
Yeah, so as she was talking, I think my freshman year was the year that we had 2 males try out for the first time in a while. So I've kind of seen the males work their way into the team. And it's been interesting because male cheerleaders, they're really, really strong, and they're just going to be stronger than us women, no matter how many weights I lift. So they add a really powerful component, which is really, really helpful. But at the same time, a lot of those males haven't had as much training in motions, which is when you move your arms to a position, and then there's motion placement, so it's where they move their motions and how their wrists look when they move their arms that way. So personally, before we went to nationals, I had to work with our males a lot on motion placement and how their wrists looked and stuff like that. And it's also been kind of a learning curve for our team because with not having males for a while, we had to figure out, okay, well, what does the male look like on the sidelines versus what does the girls look like? Because, the male might not be jumping around, shaking their pom-poms and stuff. So we've had to kind of figure that out too. But I think it's added a nice component in the team aspect too. Our one male that we have now, Jeff, he's like a brother to a lot of us, and he's a really good friend. So he's a really great teammate.
So now you said you had to work with some of them to help them. Gabe Chappelle, a football player, he kind of helped out that 1 year.
Yeah.
How did he transition from the football field to the cheerleading squad when you guys went to nationals?
Yeah, Gabe was a trooper. He worked really, really hard. He picked up cheerleading faster than I've ever seen anybody pick up cheerleading. He tried so hard. Definitely a learning curve there. He had a lot of work to do. There's a lot of stuff in cheerleading that us cheerleaders grow up learning. Like a lot of us have been cheering since elementary school, and there's a component of cheerleading called counts, and we count things by eighths. And I would say to Gabe, like, okay, on 3, you hit this motion, and I would have to be like, okay, wait, this is what an 8 count is. So there were so many little things to him that I had to explain, but he tried so hard to pick it all up, and he really became a really nice, almost leader on the team. Like he would encourage us and push us to keep going. And when we were at nationals, he gathered us and said some words before we went on the mat. He was a really, really awesome addition to our nationals team.
I think that's the football player in him. Huddle up. I'm going to scream and yell, and we're gonna go do this.
But his strength added so much power to one of our pyramids. Like himself could take a girl and throw her through the roof. But then we would have to have him.
We're hoping he doesn't do that.
Yeah. In moments, we'd have to say, okay, dial it back a little bit. You can't throw her that high.
It is interesting you mentioned that because, watching a lot of Division I college football, they have, I think every school has male cheerleaders, and that, that's their job. That's what they do. And they do a wonderful job with it. I'm glad to see that Westchester, has been able to work that into their game as well. Now, Kelly, kind of talk a little bit about nationals. Like Liz had mentioned, you guys went to nationals 2 years in a row. You finished ninth both years. Kind of talk about those experiences, because when I took over, the cheerleading squad was really just a spirit squad. It wasn't a competitive cheer team. And that's part of the evolution, I think, of your program. You've kind of made them a competitive cheer team. Talk about those experiences and going down to Florida.
Yeah, it's been a great experience. I think that anybody who's around our program sees just how hard the team works. They work so hard. They are literally a year-round team. And I think that's what people don't recognize. We have tryouts in May. We start practices in June. We practice all summer long. We go away to camp in August. We come back. We have our preseason camp at Westchester. We roll right through, all the way through till the end of March. We put on our clinics for prospective team members, like incoming and high school, and any age in high school. We put those clinics on in April, and we have tryouts again in May. So our season literally goes year round, and I think people don't recognize that. So for our team to be able to compete is the one thing throughout the year that's for them. Pretty much everything that our team does is for everybody else, and they love doing it. So I don't ever want people to think that it's a burden. They love it. It's literally what they sign up to do. They look forward to it. It's like their dream, and they give back to the community. They give back to our athletic department, to our football team, to our basketball teams. And everything they do is to support the university, and this is one chance that they have. And it's so nice because we have competed in the game day division specifically. And game day division, they actually have it set up that it looks like you're on a football field. They have like everything out. They call things as though it's a call in a game. Like the announcer will announce a situation and the team has to respond to it with a certain, if it's an offense or defense kind of situation. They'll make an announcement, and we have to know whether we should be doing a fight song or what the situation might be. And it's perfect because our team is all about the game day atmosphere. Our team is all about Westchester spirit, Ram pride. And I know like Liz mentioned about being on that purple track, we always talk about like being on the purple track. It's something that every senior that's ever left the program, they talk about. And it's kind of like an inside thing because our team gets there pretty much before anybody. We're kind of there when they're unlocking the gate. We're on that track before anybody's pretty much in the stadium. And it's kind of like the entire day. It's just like there's some magic that happens in Farrell Stadium. That's just something unique. But for them to be able to set foot on that mat and be on a national stage and hear that fight song come on, there's like such a unique feeling that goes on. I get goosebumps right now just talking about it, but I know that's how our team feels. And I think they all know that they are not only on that mat for themselves, but for all the people that have come before them that didn't get the opportunity to be on that stage, that they can now be on that stage. And I think the biggest thing is them being able to represent Westchester. It's not really about just them, but knowing that they're there representing the university gives them so much pride. So it's just been a really neat experience, and we've been so thankful to the university for giving us opportunity and supporting us in doing that. But yeah, it's such a great thing that the team has had that opportunity to do now for 2 years. And we were really looking forward to this year because this year the divisions were actually going to be splitting, and we were going to be in a division that was more appropriate for us as far as the number of males that we have on the team. And unfortunately, I think it's pretty certain we won't be able to compete this year. So it's definitely a disappointment, but there'll be another time.
Now, Liz, again, I'll put you on the spot a little bit. Football or basketball, and which do you prefer?
Definitely football. I think almost anybody on the team would say that. I do like basketball games. They each have their own charm. But for football games, like Kelly was saying, there is some magic to Farrell Stadium. we get down there in the morning, and there's some camaraderie. Like, before, when I was an underclassman, I didn't have a car. You all have to kind of pile into an upperclassman's car, and like maybe you make a Dunkin' or a Wawa trip before you go, and then everybody gets down there, and we all warm up as a team together, and we spend the morning going through our whole stunt list, all of our pyramids, all of our incorps, and then when we're done, we've gone through everything. Coach Kelly thinks that it's perfect, or as perfect as it's going to get. We head down to our family tailgate, which happens in those parking lots kind of in the lower section of the stadium, where all of our families have a tailgate set up with so much food, more food than we probably should eat before we're doing all of that stunting and flipping. And, we spend about an hour with our families. We spend time to touch up our hair and makeup, because after all of that warming up, we're usually all a little bit of a mess. I change into our uniforms, and we spend time with our families, and then we head back up. We do the pregame show, and then we just spend time on that track cheering on the team, and it's just amazing spending all that time out there. And then afterwards, just we do the fight song together, and just the whole day of being at a football game is really, really awesome. And then basketball season, it gets to be a lot because we cheer for all the men's and women's home games. So sometimes we're cheering for 2 or 3 games in a week, and so usually we cheer at double headers. So we'll be in Hollinger for like 8 hours in a day. So it gets to be a long day of just sitting in those stands. But I love it just as much as I love anything else that we're doing for cheer. But Farrell is definitely a little bit more exciting.
The thing I love about basketball is that Coach Moyer allows the media to take over her office for post game.
Yeah.
I'm sure the Daily Local appreciates that, no doubt. But Coach Moyer, if I could just end with one question. In your 17 years at Westchester, but certainly even dating back to your time in college and growing up, what has cheerleading meant to you, and what are some of the things that you take out of it that you cherish most?
Oh, wow. That's a big question. Cheerleading's literally been my life. I started cheerleading when I was in 3rd grade, and I've been involved with cheerleading ever since. I went to cheered all through high school at Boyertown High School, and then I went to Kutztown and cheered all 4 years at Kutztown.
We'll edit out that other college that you just
at least I was golden then, and we're golden now, so that's a commonality. But I did that, and then I came straight out of that and started coaching high school for 3 years prior to landing the job at Westchester, and have been involved with cheerleading ever since. It's literally my life. I was at Westchester recently, and I'm so excited just to be like on campus to do a couple of things. And I will say that I felt really sad when I left, because it was that recognition that Westchester is a really special place, no doubt about it, but it's the people that make it so special. And so, cheerleading for me truly has been my whole life. It's been something that my parents were at every single game that I ever cheered at all the way through college, and truthfully have been at majority of all of the events at Westchester since I've been coaching too. So, it's something that one thing that I love is that my family can be involved. My family was involved when I was growing up, and now my family, my husband and my children, are at just about every event that we have. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I love about it, is just that family atmosphere. My daughter, who's 6, has grown up and knows nothing but cheerleading and football and what that game day experience is like. And she has so many big sisters, as she calls them, that just, have loved her, and that's been such a great experience for her. And as much as I miss cheerleading and I miss being a part of the game day and just the day to day with my team, I also miss it for my girls, who that's something that they've always known. But cheerleading is just such a special thing. It's just something that is unique, and if you're not in the cheerleading world, sometimes it's hard to understand, but those of us who are in it, it's definitely, it's a really special thing. And the memories that have been formed at Westchester are just unlike anything else that I could ever explain. There's nothing like it. I am so thankful and so blessed that I've had this opportunity for the past 17 years.
So now you're your husband is a big football fan, writes for a football website. Are you glad there's Division I football to keep him occupied on Saturdays?
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny because he broadcasts football games on Friday nights, and we weren't sure if that was going to happen. And luckily, he's had games every Friday night, so he's been busy doing that. He loves it. I'm so thankful that he's had the chance to do it because I know I sure miss Saturdays. It's a really unique experience this year. This is the first fall that I haven't had football going on since I was in second grade. So it's definitely really crazy to think about that, but I'm thankful for him that he has the opportunity on Friday nights, and then on Sunday nights he presents a game ball. It's done virtually, but he presents a game ball to high school players. So, I mean, he's at least been able to keep up with that. And dare I even say that we haven't seen a single NFL game this entire season so far. We've just been so busy doing other stuff and enjoying actually not having a whole lot going on. We've actually been just trying to get away and do some other stuff.
Well, if you like the Eagles, you're not missing much.
Yeah, I hear that.
For the first 5 weeks. All right, ladies, I think we'll leave it there. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy days, especially you, Liz. I know a Zoom meeting was probably the last thing you wanted to do when Coach contacted you and said, hey, I need you to take one for the team and jump on this Zoom call. But I appreciate you coming on. Hopefully you will be on the sidelines or on the, either on the basketball court or the football field soon. I am Jim Zalke for head coach Kelly Moyer and Liz Schlosser. That is a wrap on this episode of WCU Athletics Chalk Talk. We will see you again for another episode.